Oh my God.
Alarm systems tell us after a break-in has occurred. So I thought, what if you could prevent burglaries before they happen? My invention, the Ring Video Doorbell, does that.
Hello?
I'm doing free tree trimming estimates.
I'm dating the children right now.
With Ring, you're always home. Ring lets you see and speak with whoever's at your home from anywhere. And with dual power options, you can install Ring in just minutes. Available at ring.com and these fine retailers.
The heirloom tomato. Intensely flavored, colorfully diverse, beautifully misshapen. Cultivated for generations, it's the unexpected hero of any dish. When you cook with incredible ingredients, you make incredible meals. Fresh ingredients, step-by-step recipes delivered to your door. Get your first 2 meals free at blueapron.com/cook.
I'm Wolf Blitzer. This is CNN.
Well, Democrats vowed they wouldn't budge from the House floor until hell froze over. But today, after 25 hours, they ended their sit-in over gun control legislation. More than 170 Democrats took part in the protest, led by Representative John Lewis, who, of course, is a civil rights hero. Overnight, House Speaker Paul Ryan seized control long enough to muscle through an appropriations bill without debate. He then declared the House adjourned until after the 4th of July holiday. Now, throughout the night, Democrats gave speeches. One that made the most headlines was made by Representative Debbie Dingell of Michigan.
I lived in a house with a man that should not have had access to a gun.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to see a gun pointed at you and wonder if you were going to live. And I know what it's like to hide in the closet and pray to God, do not let anything happen to me.
You're here.
And we have we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to say that it happens in all kind of households. And we still live in a society where we will let a convicted felon who is stalking somebody of domestic abuse still own a gun.
Yeah.
Representative Debbie Dingell joins me now, along with Republican Representative Sean Duffy of Wisconsin. Welcome to both of you. Congresswoman Dingell, as we just heard, obviously an issue very personal for you. I wonder, this sit-in, how much did it accomplish, do you think? I mean, if all it did was draw attention to the issue, is that enough for you?
Well, no, it's not enough, but by drawing attention to it and having people talk about it from one end of the country to another, hopefully as members of Congress of both parties go home, they're going to talk to their elected representatives about how they want to see change. We know the polling shows that 92% of the American people want background checks and 85% want no fly, no buy. So what we were trying to do is to not, I was convinced this week that nothing would ever change. We'd have the same old canned talking points and nobody would care and nothing would happen. Today, or the last 48 hours, a lot of attention got brought in the country. And look, we're here, we're talking about it tonight.
Well, Congressman Duffy, I mean, Speaker Ryan basically said that the sit-in undermined the House of Representatives as an institution. Do you agree with him?
Absolutely. I think Saul Lewinsky would have been proud at the Democrats who took over the House floor last night and our founders were rolling over in their graves. Listen, my heart goes out to Debbie and her story when she was a young girl, what happened to her. I was a prosecutor for 10 years and I prosecuted those kind of cases, prosecuting guys like her father. But what concerns me, Anderson, is the tragedy in Orlando, which is about Islamic radical terrorism, has been morphed into a greater gun debate that Democrats have been working on for 10 years. And so Debbie and her friends on the floor were talking only about guns. We need to have a holistic approach about, if we're going to keep America safe, what do we have to do in the Congress? How do we partner with the president to actually accomplish that safety for American citizens? But if you only talk about guns on the floor and not how we can help fix the FBI so they can actually have the tools and the resources available to go after bad guys, or when we have Barack Obama who refuses to use radical Islamic terrorism, or he whitewashes the 911 transcript that Mateen made the night of this horrible attack. These are real problems where we're not putting our finger on what's actually wrong and who's inspiring these agents of death.
Congresswoman, is what happened in Orlando and this debate just about Islamic terrorism?
No, for me, it's two different things. And by the way, I share people's concerns about the no-fly list in civil rights. But what I want, I represent many of the Muslims that are good Americans. By the way, we got to be very careful to not take paintbrushes and tar and feather an entire religion. We did that once in the history of this of the world, only in the last century, and that it's not the right thing to do. But what we're trying to say is, let's have the discussion. Please come to the table and have the discussion. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, let me ask about that, Congressman Duffy. One of your colleagues, Representative Jolly, who's joining me in the next hour, he's actually introduced legislation he thinks is a good compromise, essentially mandating the government to have a due process hearing if an individual is unable to purchase a firearm because of being on a no-fly list. So if somebody's on the no-fly list and they get turned down, they get 30 days in which time they get to have an actual hearing so their due process rights are addressed. Do you see that as something you could get behind?
There's a number of finer points that we have to work through, but yes, as long as the government has the burden to prove that someone who's on the list should be on the list, and we don't take guns away from law-abiding American citizens. But we also, Anderson, have to be careful because the FBI has said if you get this wrong, you can have would-be terrorists try to go buy a gun, and if they're denied, they know they're being watched. If they're not denied, they know they're free to actually act without interference from the FBI. So it takes time to actually work together. And Debbie last night said, we got to get people out of their corner to come in the middle and have a conversation. Well, taking over the House floor and only talking about gun control, which they've been talking about for years, doesn't bring people together. I think Debbie and I could sit down and say, how do you have a conversation specifically getting guns away from terrorists?
Well, how do you resolve that issue? How do you resolve that issue that you raised, that if a would-be terrorist, somebody's on a list, goes and buys a gun and realizes they get rejected, that they're being watched? I mean, how do you resolve that?
We have to work with the FBI on that. I mean, those are finer points that we have to get right. I don't know the answer tonight, but I think there's a number of different avenues that we can get to actually accomplish that goal. But if you have a mentality that says, I'm going to use, whether it's San Bernardino or I'm going to use Orlando to advance my gun control agenda, and this is only phase one of that agenda, it's hard to get buy-in from the Republicans. But if you want to talk about taking guns away from terrorists, talk about the FBI, talk about Barack Obama, getting as energetic about talking about ISIS as he does about when he talks about the NRA.
So, Congresswoman, do you believe?
I mean, together.
What the Congressman is essentially saying is you're using this tragedy and others for a gun control agenda.
No, I disagree with that, and I'm a very complicated person when it comes to gun control, because I do respect the Second Amendment rights, but I also know that there are people in this country that have access to guns that shouldn't. Mental health is one. I share your goal of making sure that terrorists don't have access to guns, which is why we've got to get this list to be an accurate list. We should be making sure that convicted felons don't have access to guns. I want to work with you to get at that, but I think that everybody's just been, we're so tired of these mass shootings. What also bothers me is that we don't talk about what's happening every day, the kind of violence that we're just sort of, it's normal when you look at what's happening in Chicago or Baltimore or what's happening in homes every day with domestic abuse. So I want to have the discussion. Now, go ahead.
But again, I think, Debbie, and you and I can sit down and talk, but you have to get beyond just guns. This is a larger discussion, and what we have to we have to protect people's rights. And so when we look at healthcare, mental health, it's the government's burden to show there's a mental defect or disability. When someone's convicted of a crime, a felony, or there's domestic abuse, those are all ways that someone has due process to take away their rights. You can't just have some unknowing board without any known criteria, without any way to get someone off, decide whether someone's Second Amendment rights are taken away. You've talked about this a lot.
I agree.
We have a lot of folks who are of high profile, who have been on the list, that are members of Congress, that take a year to get off. If you're just a guy in Middle America in Wisconsin and you're not a member of Congress, you can't get off this list. But I think we can find common ground on this front to actually work together to deal with terrorists and access and guns, but also trying to get a structure together to defeat ISIS, defeat radical Islamic terror, and keep America safe.
Appreciate the conversation, and appreciate, we'll see if you two do get together on this. Representatives Dingell and Duffy, thank you so much. Just ahead, the sit-in was no doubt a pretty extraordinary moment just to witness on the House floor with dramatic moments. It does pale in comparison to full-on brawls that erupt in other countries when lawmakers disagree. We'll show you in some other places how violent things get.
You wouldn't believe what's in this keister. A farmer's market, a fire truck, even a marching band. And if I can get comfortable talking about this keister, then you can get comfortable using Preparation H for any sort of discomfort in yours. Preparation H, get comfortable with it.
I jumped at the chance to take the DNA test through Ancestry, and my results ended up being African, European, and Asian. It was great because it confirmed what I knew in my gut with a little surprise. Ancestry helped give me a sense of identity.
Welcome to the world, 2116. You can fly across town in minutes, or across the globe in under an hour. Whole communities are living on Mars, and solar satellites provide Earth with unlimited clean power. In less than a century, Boeing took the world from seaplanes to space planes, across the universe and beyond. And if you thought that was amazing, you just wait.
When a moment turns romantic, why pause to take a pill? Or stop to find a bathroom? Cialis for daily use is approved to treat both erectile dysfunction and the urinary symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently, day or night. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain or Adepis for pulmonary hypertension, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis and a $200 savings card.
Congrats on the new car.
Thanks. The dealership reviews on Cars.com made it easy, but...
We thought it might be a little more tense.
You missed the drama.
Yeah. Ask him whatever you want.
Okay. I think my sister's prettier than me.
Research, price, find. Only Cars.com helps you get the right car without all the drama.
Want to drink more water? With SodaStream, you turn plain water into sparkling water in seconds. And because it's so delicious, you'll drink 43% more water every day. SodaStream. Love your water.
In 2003, the U.S. set out to capture Saddam Hussein. What really happened in the search for the world's most wanted man has remained secret until now. Declassified, Sunday at 10 on CNN.
In the summertime, when the weather is fine, you can stretch right up into the sky. When it's vacation time, you got MSC Cruises on your mind. Have a drink, relax, you're gonna have a good time. Sail along with us at MSC, see a fabulous show and be happy.
Did you know MSC Cruises is the largest privately owned cruise line in the world? Take a 7-night MSC Caribbean cruise aboard the stunning MSC Divina, starting from only $4.99 per person. Or you can get it all for $7.98, including unlimited cocktails and soft drinks, plus Wi-Fi for email and social media. You also get a shipboard credit of up to $75 for a tour excursion. Don't forget, kids sail free on select sailings. What's more, book this all-inclusive package now and upgrade to a balcony stateroom for only $99. Call your travel agent now or visit msccruises.com.
The Hunt with John Walsh. New episode Sundays at 9 on CNN.
There's no question the 25-hour sit-in on the House floor was unprecedented in this country. House Speaker Paul Ryan has been blasting Democrats for the disruption they caused.
This is the people's house. This is Congress, the House of Representatives, oldest democracy in the world, and they're just sending it into chaos. I don't think this should be a very proud moment for democracy or for the people who staged these stunts.
Again, as we said earlier, Speaker Ryan himself bypassed House protocol when he pushed through that appropriations bill overnight with no debate. As for chaos, let's get some perspective here. Brawling while legislating is not uncommon in many parts of the world. Just last month, multiple fistfights broke out during a contentious meeting of the Turkish parliament. Ruling party members and the pro-Kurdish opposition came to blows over a bill allowing some members of parliament, which included leading members of the opposition party, to be investigated for links to terrorism. Those not directly involved in the fighting flung bottles of water at their opponents across the table. Several lawmakers were reportedly injured. Brawling in South Korea's National Assembly is routine. Members will often lock the doors and barricade them with furniture before votes. Their political opponents have to physically tear down the doors in order to enter. It's not an easy task. In 2011, a member of parliament opposed to a free trade deal with the United States even threw a canister of tear gas before the vote. The chamber was briefly cleared as tear gas flooded the hall, but the vote soon resumed and the bill was passed. Ukraine's Supreme Rada has also seen its share of fights. In 2012, parliament members attacked each other over a bill giving the Russian language equal stature to Ukrainian in some parts of the country. This fight broke out in the hallway as two opposing members slugged it out over a peace deal in 2015 that brought an end to the conflict in Ukraine. The two members were suspended after the fight for 5 sessions. Later that year, Ukraine's then prime minister was physically dragged from the microphone by an opponent, causing a massive fistfight. The Taiwanese parliament is notorious for fighting. These massive tussles erupt over all kinds of issues, from the budget to ties to China to military hardware purchases. This parliament member brings a helmet to sessions to protect himself from the violence. In Argentina in 2010, this legislator was unhappy with the state of the budget talks. Watch as she glares at an opposition member, then nods in satisfaction as she walks away. Many of these fights are considered public relations spectacles in their home countries. But still, what's been described as chaos on the House floor in the U.S. seems pretty tame by comparison. Look around the world. Just ahead, the votes are coming in across Great Britain on a question that could shake the entire global economy. Should the United Kingdom leave the European Union? Should it make a BRExit, as it's called? The vote is closed. We've got the latest with that. Also next, the officer accused of giving Freddie Gray a so-called rough ride in a police van, who was facing the most serious charges in his death, is found not guilty. The reason and reaction from Baltimore when we continue.
I got it. Don't worry about it.
That's right. State Wise and get $100 in Wyndham Rewards gift cards. That's true. $100. I love my job.
Stay twice and get $100 in Wyndham Rewards gift cards and save up to 25%.
It's here, but it's going by fast. The opportunity of the year is back. The Mercedes-Benz Summer Event. Get to your dealer today for incredible once-a-season offers and start firing up those grills. Lease the E350 for $499 a month at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Whopper. Fries. Soda. $10. Someone's gonna get fired.
Fired and Flame Grilled. Get 2 100% beef Whopper sandwiches, 2 fries, and 2 drinks now for just $10. It's the 2 for $10 Whopper meal, only at Burger King.
Real is touching a ray. Amazing is moving like one. Real is making new friends. Amazing is getting this close. Real is an animal rescue. Amazing is over 27,000 of them. There is only one place where real and amazing live. SeaWorld. Real amazing.
Look, the wolf was huffing and puffing.
Like you do sometimes, Grandpa?
Well, when you have COPD, it can be hard to breathe. It can be hard to get air out, which can make it hard to get air in. So I talked to my doctor. She said,
Symbicort could help you breathe better, starting within 5 minutes. Symbicort doesn't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden symptoms. Symbicort helps provide significant improvement of your lung function. Symbicort is for COPD, including chronic bronchitis and emphysema. It should not be taken more than twice a day. Symbicort contains formoterol. Medicines like formoterol increase the risk of death from asthma problems. Symbicort may increase your risk of lung infections, osteoporosis, and some eye problems. You should tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it.
Symbicort could mean a day with better breathing.
Watch out, piggies!
Symbicort. Breathe better, starting within 5 minutes. Call or go online to learn more about a free trial offer. If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
For incredible stain removal, try OxyClean Max Force with 5-in-1 stain-fighting power. The convenient spray tackles the toughest stains, completely gone. The concentrated gel sticks to and removes even ground-in stains. OxyClean gets the tough stains out.
Scorching heat today. Stay cool out there.
Walter!
Stop suffering with hot AC. Cool it yourself with AC Pro. In just 3 easy steps, enjoy the comfort of 2 times the cooling boosters from the #1 selling coldest air. Nothing cools like AC Pro.
Sir, it's the president. Mr. President, we're on Mars.
Switch to a video call. Sure, we can do that.
Picture from Mars looks great.
It's about time business communications caught up. Go from an audio call to a video conference with the push of a button. Vonage. Business grade, people friendly.
CNN tomorrow.
This could be the fiber that breaks the whole case.
Morgan Spurlock's at the scene of the crime and getting clued into the cost of getting it wrong.
How broken is the system right now?
Morgan Spurlock, Inside Man, tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
Well, not guilty on all charges. That's the decision today from a Baltimore judge for the 3rd police officer to go on trial in the death of Freddie Gray. The officer was the one who drove the van when Gray suffered his fatal spinal injuries. He faced the most serious charges, but the judge said prosecutors did not prove their case, and this raises questions about the remaining officers who are still to face trial. Miguel Marquez is in Baltimore tonight with the more.
Protest and anger over yet another full acquittal of a Baltimore police officer connected to the death of Freddie Gray. Above all, frustration that now possibly none of the 6 officers will be convicted of anything.
Not guilty on murder is essentially you can kill this black guy and no one is going to be convicted for it.
Caesar Goodson, the driver of the prisoner van Gray rode in, and a 16-year veteran of the Baltimore police force, faced 7 charges, ranging from 2nd-degree murder to reckless endangerment. In a lengthy verdict from the bench, the judge said while mistakes may have been made, none of it amounted to criminal behavior.
I'm disappointed, and I think that the rules and the law needs to be changed. Use of force, the police, Bill of Rights, everything is difficult because what the police did was actions, but they're not criminal.
While we agree with the verdict in this case, we also suggest that Mrs. Mosby reconsider her malicious prosecution against the remaining 4 officers. We are more than certain that they too will be found to be without guilt.
The prosecution claimed Gray died from injuries sustained during a rough ride, but the judge ruled while everyone agrees Gray was injured in the van, it was not clear to officers he was in distress until the last stop, when medical attention was sought.
We all know what a rough ride is, and if you got in a van and then when you got off, you're in critical condition, ouch.
Caesar Goodson hugged his lawyers and shook hands with Officer Edward Nero, who was previously acquitted. Question now, will all officers connected to the death of Freddie Gray be acquitted or even tried?
I think if ever there was a case where the prosecution threw their really the best they had at, it was this case. And so the fact that they didn't get a conviction really, I think, is going to force them to reassess what they do in the future.
Miguel joins us now. Any reaction from the community where Freddie Gray lived?
I think that there is frustration that this has happened, but certainly sort of a resignation that it was probably bound to happen. I remember asking people when Marilyn Mosby brought these charges a year ago what they thought, and they sort of would smile and say, nothing's going to change in Baltimore. This is just the way it is. They will not be brought to justice. The other side that we are hearing, though, is that people saying, well, at least these charges have been brought. It has shined a light on the police department and their practices, and perhaps this is the beginning of change. Anderson?
All right, Miguel Marquez, thanks very much. We'll have more on this case in the next hour of 360. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court delivering a huge blow to President Obama's immigration plan. Justices deadlocked in a 4-4 tie block his executive order. The president has weighed in. So have Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. The latest on that.
Fact.
There's an Advil specially made for fast relief that goes to work in minutes. The only Advil with the rapid release formula for rapid relief of tough pain. Look for Advil film coated in the white box. Relief doesn't get any faster than this. Advil.
Rejuvenate is the #1 selling floor care product at the Home Depot. Rejuvenate's super concentrated formula is the only floor finish that renews your floors in only one easy mop-on application. It fills and scratches, restores shine, and protects hardwood, laminate, linoleum, vinyl, and ceramic tile. And Rejuvenate's cabinet and furniture store puts on a protective mirror-like shine that lasts for years. Rejuvenate is available at these fine retailers or at rejuvenateproducts.com.
The big Hilton World Sale is on. Honors members save up to 25% on brands like Hampton, Doubletree, Hilton Garden Inn, and Waldorf Astoria. So stop clicking around. Book direct at Hilton.com. Now that's satisfaction.
The turbocharged dream machine, the Volkswagen Golf GTI, named one of Car and Driver's 10 best 10 years in a row.
Jamie, the Name Your Price tool can show you coverage options to fit your budget.
Tell me something I don't know. Oh. She slimed me, which I probably should have seen coming.
But he's a monster.
A dad and a daughter should not be in the bed together.
Children's throats had been slashed.
I don't know how a father could kill their own children.
She was shot in the back of the head.
There was blood drops. It was almost like hunting a deer.
I want him found so we can have answers.
John Walsh is back. The Hunt with John Walsh. New episodes Sundays at 9 on CNN.
In the summertime when the weather is fine, you can stretch right up into the sky. When it's vacation time, you got MSC Cruises on your mind. Have a drink, relax, you're gonna have a good time.
Cruise the Caribbean on MSC Cruises. Take a 7-night all-inclusive cruise for only $798 per person. That's unlimited drinks, meals, entertainment, Wi-Fi, and a tour excursion. Call your travel agent now or visit msccruises.com.
Here's critically important news for small business owners. Financing is now available in as little as 3 days. Trusted national lender Rapid Advance understands that small businesses need working capital to seize opportunities. That's why tens of thousands of small businesses have found the funding they need to grow with Rapid Advance. Rapid Advance provides financing up to $500,000. Approvals take as little as 1 day, and funds are available in as little as 3 days. If you've been in business for at least 1 year, call 877-GO-RAPID or visit rapidadvance.com.
Declassified. Sundays at 10 on CNN.
Thanks for joining us for this live hour of 360. A big hour ahead here and overseas as well, where the votes are being counted right now on whether the United Kingdom will be the first country ever to leave the European Union and perhaps throw a big chunk of the global economy into uncertain waters. UK is where Donald Trump is headed, specifically to Scotland on business, not politics. And there, of course, there's today's Supreme Court tie vote upholding a challenge to President Obama's immigration plan, a non-decision decision that leaves as many as 5 million people in limbo. Now, we've got a team of correspondents tonight on all those stories, as well as our panel of legal experts and political professionals. We begin, though, with immigration, the court, and CNN chief political correspondent Dana Bash. So talk to us about this ruling, explain what it does and who it directly affects.
Well, as you said, the president's executive order would have given about 5 million undocumented immigrants the ability to come out of the shadows and begin the process of applying to stay legally in the United States. A lower court judge issued an injunction to stop those programs from going into effect. And because the Supreme Court deadlocked today 4-4, it means that the lower court ruling stays in effect. And the undocumented immigrants, many of whom were brought to the U.S. illegally as children, will stay in legal limbo, at least until the end of the Obama administration.
And the ruling is just as much about presidential authority and executive action as about the specifics in the plan, right?
That's exactly right. It's really not about substance and the substance of this issue, which of course is letting undocumented immigrants stay legally. This is about the way President Obama went about it, unilaterally without Congress. You remember not long after President Obama issued these executive orders in 2014, a group of states, 25, led by Texas, challenged this in court. They argued that the president going alone is unconstitutional. Republicans in the House signed onto it. They made the same argument. And the president back then said, wait a minute, I'm just doing this because I'm frustrated. Congress is deadlocked. The Senate passed immigration reform. The House never brought it up. But it was interesting. The fact that the president bypassed Congress really united Republicans in opposition. And today, Anderson, even those who are for immigration reform were applauding what the court did just because, again, the executive action that the president used to do it.
All right, thanks, Dana. The reaction came swiftly from the president. CNN's Michelle Kaczynski is at the White House. More on that. So President Obama made some remarks soon after the ruling came down. Certainly a blow to the president, what he had hoped would be a big part of his legacy.
Right, Anderson. I mean, this was not good. And the president's disappointment was absolutely palpable in there. And he himself conceded that he's really now hit the limit in what he can do on immigration, at least through executive action. That said, his original executive action on immigration that affected many people who were brought here as kids, those policies remain in place. Also, the president insisted today that enforcement priorities would remain in place. And that means that many of the people who were affected by what would have happened had the court ruled in his favor, by this expanded executive action, they're not exactly by any means going to be top targets for deportation. And also remember, the court didn't rule on whether the president had overstepped his legal bounds, even though they came very close to doing so. So for the president, it is not a complete loss. What he wants to do now is hit Republicans, blame them for this, and urge people who feel the same way he does to exercise their right to vote in November. Listen.
We're going to have to make a decision about whether we are a people who tolerate the hypocrisy of the system, where the workers who pick our fruit or make our beds never have the chance to get right with the law, or whether we're going to give them a chance, just like our forebears had a chance, to take responsibility and give their kids a better future. We're going to have to decide whether we're people who accept the cruelty of ripping children from their parents' arms, or whether we actually value families.
Yeah, this is very clearly in the hands of the next Supreme Court justice, the next Congress, and the next president. And President Obama was saying exactly that. He also made another very thinly veiled reference to Donald Trump, saying that you can't pretend you're going to deport 11 million people. You can't say you're going to build a wall. He called those fantasies, Anderson.
The president also spoke today about the refusal of Republicans in Congress to consider a Supreme Court nominee, Judge Merrick Garland.
Yeah, this was another opportunity, a perfect opportunity for him to slam Republicans hard. He didn't hold back on his language either. He said that Republicans were willfully preventing the Supreme Court from functioning the way the founders intended. He said that they're using partisan politics to jeopardize the impartiality and the integrity of the entire justice system. In his words, America should not let that stand. It was interesting to hear from the press office of the White House today, too, saying that, you know, this is letting the dysfunction in Congress infect, not affect, but infect the judiciary. Anderson?
All right, Michelle Kaczynski. Michelle, thanks very much from the White House. More on the politics. May you agree or disagree with how the justices voted? Hard to imagine this won't make what's already a major voting issue this year even bigger. Hillary Clinton holds an enormous edge with Latino voters right now. Donald Trump, as you know, has made illegal immigration the centerpiece of his campaign. Jeff Zeleny is covering the Clinton reaction. He joins us now. So how did Clinton respond?
Well, Anderson, if the president sort of walked around Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton addressed it head on here. This is what she said. Take a look at this. She said this decision is also a stark reminder of the harm Donald Trump would do to our families, our communities, and our country. He has called Mexican immigrants rapists and murderers. He has called for creating a deportation force to tear 11 million people away from their families and their homes. So, Anderson, she is going square directly into this issue here, and this will become a central issue of this general election campaign. I mean, obviously, Donald Trump may not have been the Republican nominee, but for this immigration issue being front and center here. The Clinton campaign believes they can use this to their political advantage, but also some warnings from the Republican side here is the courts have essentially said that the president has overstepped his authority, so that is a warning to her because she wants to do even more than this president has done.
Right. I mean, as you said, she's clearly hoping to use this to her advantage with Hispanic voters.
Without question, and if you look at the battleground states, just looking at the pure raw politics of this, look at a state like Nevada, like Colorado, like Florida. Key battleground states with the highest percentage of Hispanic voters in the country in battleground states. The Clinton campaign believes this is a winner for them politically speaking here. They believe that the next appointees to the Supreme Court who may decide something like this in the future, as well as the White House, are key to this here. So the Clinton campaign sees only upside in this, and Republicans admittedly are worried about the changing demographics in the country here, sort of meeting headlong with Donald Trump.
All right, Jeff, thanks for reporting. Donald Trump had less to say about this today, perhaps because he was getting ready to leave the country, heading overseas. Jim Acosta, who joins us from Turnberry in Scotland, outside one of Donald Trump's golf resorts. So, Jim, why is Trump making this trip, and why making it now?
It's a pretty unusual time, Anderson, with Donald Trump sagging in the polls, lagging in fundraising. You would think he would be back in the United States, according to those or tending to those demands. But instead, he's making what is essentially a business trip to come over here to this golf resort that he has refurbished behind me. It's Trump Turnberry. They pumped millions of dollars into this property to refurbish it, and he's essentially here tomorrow for a ribbon cutting that his family is going to be attending. He'll helicopter in, cut the ribbon with some other notable VIPs, and then afterwards we're told he's going to take a few questions at a press conference. But this is a highly unusual move. He is not going to be meeting with any foreign leaders over here. He's not going to be meeting with the British Prime Minister David Cameron or even the top government officials here in Scotland. And as you know, Anderson, the Prime Minister here in the UK, David Cameron, has been sharply critical of Donald Trump, questioning his proposal for a ban to ban all Muslims coming into the U.S. temporarily. David Cameron has said that that is wrong-headed, and then Donald Trump responded that perhaps the U.S. and the U.K. won't have a special relationship like they've had for decades now. And in addition to that, Anderson, he's heading up to a separate golf property in Aberdeen, Scotland, where there's been a lot of controversy. Donald Trump at one point tried to use the Scottish version of eminent domain to take property up there. That didn't work out, and so he clashed with some of the residents, and some of those residents have raised Mexican flags to protest his stance on immigration. So as Donald Trump stirs up controversy in the U.S., he has done some of the same over here in the U.K.
I mean, it is remarkable for a presidential candidate at this point in a campaign to be taking time off to pursue a ribbon cutting, essentially, for business prospect. How is the campaign explaining this or spinning it or whatever verb you want to use?
Right. Well, I did talk to a Trump source earlier today who said, you know what, this is a property that Donald Trump has invested millions of dollars into. You know, he does have a day job outside of running for president of the United States. It has his name on it. He wants to make sure that this property is up to his standard, so you can't really hold that against him. But keep in mind, Anderson, when politicians go overseas, there is a tendency sometimes to create gaffes. I remember 4 years ago, you remember it well, when Mitt Romney went overseas and went to the UK, went to Poland, went to Israel, and it was almost one gaffe after another. And so, you know, if you're not careful, these trips can offer all sorts of pitfalls that can create terrible headlines around the world.
Jim Acosta, Jim, thanks very much.
You got it.
A lot more ahead. The panel weighs in next on politics and today's court deadlock. Then later, Democrats stage a sit-in demanding a vote on a gun control bill. We'll hear from a Republican who's looking for a compromise. And later, the biggest acquittal yet in the death of Freddie Gray, which ignited the city of Baltimore last year. I'll talk to the Gray's family attorney about the possibility that none of the 6 police officers will be convicted of anything.
I got it. Don't worry about it.
Keep the dream alive with the Honda Accord.
Now is the time to get your workspace moving. With VeriDesk, the height-adjustable standing desk solution that lets you go from sitting to standing and back to sitting. Get your workspace healthy and more productive. Moving during your workday can benefit your back and increase your focus. Now is the time to get VeriDesk. It arrives fully assembled. And VeriDesk offers a 30-day risk-free guarantee. Go to veridesk.com. VeriDesk. Work elevated.
Fall in love with a new daily fiber. New Mira Fiber from the makers of Miralax. It's the only fiber that supports regularity with daily comfort fiber. So unlike others, Mira Fiber is less likely to cause unwanted gas. Love your fiber. New Mira Fiber.
They are the builders, the innovators, the healers, and the teachers. These are your employees, and they define your business. Your people are your business. Stand behind them. Put them first. Ultimate Software. People first.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, isn't it time to let the real you shine through? Introducing Otezla, a Premolast. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. Some people who took Otezla saw 75% clearer skin after 4 months. And Otezla's prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't take Otezla if you are allergic to any of its ingredients. Otezla may increase the risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Side effects may include diarrhea, nausea, upper respiratory tract infection, and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Ask your dermatologist about Otezla today. Otezla. Show more of you.
Esurance does insurance a smarter way, which saves money, like bundling home and auto coverage, which reduces red tape, which saves money. And when they save, you save. That's home and auto insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call.
CNN tomorrow. Go inside.
I'm alive.
With Morgan Spurlock, crime scene investigator.
Oh, this might be the skull.
Morgan Spurlock, astronaut.
Wow, here we are. We're on the surface of Mars.
Morgan Spurlock, high roller.
See, beginner's luck. Yeah.
Woo! See what Morgan turns inside out.
The padded room. This is where Mom always said I'd end up.
From the creator of Super Size Me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Morgan Spurlock, Inside Man. New episode tomorrow at 10 on CNN.
Welcome back. There were just 9 words in the Supreme Court ruling today, letting a lower court ruling stand, blocking presidential action on immigration. 9 words, countless implications. Back with the panel and joining us this hour, Van Jones, CNN political commentator and former Obama advisor. So, Van, we haven't heard from you tonight. Who do you think has the political advantage in the wake of this deadlock on immigration? I mean, Trump and Clinton both doubling down on their arguments. Trump can say that, look, the judicial process has played out and Democrats have come up short.
Well, sure. Well, the Supreme Court gives Obama a big black eye, but they also give Hillary Clinton a big bouquet of roses. You can now say goodbye to Nevada, goodbye to Colorado, goodbye to Florida, frankly, goodbye to New York and California, too, if you want to throw that in there, if you're Donald Trump, because you're now going to have a very energized Latino turnout. One thing I think, though, it's really bad for the country overall, because I think even if we disagree, we need to at least understand each other. People think the president was just kind of overreaching for its own sake. I think from the White House point of view, they say, listen, we hurt the Latino community. We flooded the border with agents with technology. We deported 2 million people trying to show the Republicans we were serious about border security to get a deal, and then no deal was forthcoming. So having hurt the Latino community with executive action, they tried to do some things to help them to repair some of that damage. This isn't somebody who's overreaching, who's a dictator. He reached out to Congress first. He did a lot to try to knock down that border, to lock down that border, did lock down that border, and got nothing for it.
Kayleigh, is that how you see it?
No, I don't see it that way. And, you know, here's what we need to look at today. The Fifth Circuit, by the way, said that the president's actions were, quote, manifestly contrary to the statute passed by Congress. That is a huge deal. We have a president who didn't get his way with Congress, and his excuse now is to use executive power to get his way. That is completely outside of the bounds of the Constitution. It's unacceptable. He denied himself this power 22 times, and you cannot circumvent Congress if you are a Constitution-abiding president.
And Tara, you're opposed to Donald Trump, but you agree with Kayleigh on this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on the immigration issue. I worked closely on this issue when I worked on Capitol Hill. It's something I worked for a member of Congress from Southern California. I've been to the border. I helped save 2 border patrols from being unjustly imprisoned under the Bush administration for doing their jobs. And I take issue with Van's characterization of what the Obama administration has done here with illegal immigration. It's a mess. They can claim that they have more deportations, but that's because they cooked the books and they were counting people being turned away at the border as deportations. That's never been done before. Also, we have a 39% increase in legal and illegal immigration over the last 2 years in this country. We had tens of thousands of illegal immigrant kids flooding over the border who are now allowed to stay. The ICE agents are furious. They can't do their jobs. I mean, it is a nightmare what's going on top of what President Obama has done with this executive overreach, because he had a temper tantrum because Congress wouldn't give him what he wanted.
Van?
You know, look, we can go back and forth about this. You know, there are things called facts. We actually have a net negative immigration from Mexico now over years past. We had the lowest immigration rate since the 1970s. The president has done a tremendous job. The reality is, though, both sides do agree we have to have a better system. And the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate, and the president and the American people wanted to go forward, and the Republicans in the House wouldn't let anything happen. So the president took some steps. Now, to be clear, some of those steps have been left in place. So the Supreme Court left in place a lot of the work with the Dreamers and others, but he did get his hand spanked by the most conservative court, the Fifth Circuit. The most conservative court did spank his hand, but that's the most conservative circuit, not the Supreme Court.
Joe, before we get into the weeds on the immigration issue, which we can spend hours on, Joe, I mean, are you concerned just from a political standpoint for your candidate for Donald Trump that this plays into Democrats' hands for them to say,
no, let me just address something.
Latinos and rally the base, as Van said.
Van said, you know, let's talk about facts. Let's talk about the Constitution. Article 2, Section 3 says the president has to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. We have immigration laws. The president was trying to usurp that power and create a class of people who are given amnesty. Now, your question, you see 2 wonderful women to my right who have differing views on Donald Trump, differing views on immigration. The Republican Party itself has different views. Some people want all illegal immigrants to be deported. Some people want amnesty, a path to citizenship. We all agree that before any of that can happen, before Congress can act, essentially a wall or some form of border security has to happen.
Really said
this is an issue that unites the Republicans, and so much gets made by the left over how disarray the Republicans
but I wanted to
are.
say thank you to my grandfather, Harry Morgan. He served in World War I and then went on to serve again in World War II.
People who are Latino,
even as his son was being shot down and killed in England.
Said only 45% of Latinos
my brother,
illegal immigration
to
was
whom
a
this
positive
show
thing
is
for our
dedicated,
country. So it's not a unanimous opinion amongst everyone.
But it's not just about Donald Trump talking about illegal immigration. It's also about deporting 11 million people.
I want to say how much I love you and I miss you every single day and what your sacrifice was for our family.
It's ridiculous to think that the border is secure now, Van. I'm sorry, but the border is not more secure under Barack Obama. And most of that, the net negative may be from Mexico, but that doesn't count Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, which is where a bulk of those illegal immigrant kids came from because there's a different law that applies to them. And you know that, man. But as far as Donald Trump is concerned, look, this is one of those, this is the issue that propelled him into popularity in the Republican primary. It's a very emotional issue. It needs to be fixed. Our immigrant system is a disaster. But his inflammatory way of going about it has hurt that effort on the part of Republicans.
Let me bring in Gloria and
people, brave men and women who were serving in the heat and the desert and the dirt and the grime and the dust.
And that's a very
potent issue. All because
but I think
they
the problem
wanted to serve
Donald Trump
country.
has on
this
this
is just amazing
is that there is a question of what his
And I want to say what a
presidency
beautiful
would be
tribute
like.
to
Would
your
he
brother,
also
too.
want to overreach?
How beautiful
And this
to
is an
be
issue,
honoring
quite frankly,
him in this
that
way
Paul
and giving
Ryan,
back
the Republican
and
Speaker of the
everything for
House,
all you guys
has
do. I
with
just want to
Donald
say
Trump
thank
and
you.
has spoken to
And we're so
Donald Trump
also
about
honored
the
that
separation
not just
of
Move
power.
America
And
Forward,
what would you do,
Newsmax,
for
and all our
example,
great
with
sponsors.
the
But thank you for
temporary
all the
ban
hard work. It's not over yet.
How
It
would
isn't
you
over
enact
yet.
that? Would you try and do
fact,
something like
please,
that
everybody,
through an
please
executive
keep those
order, an
donations
executive
coming.
action?
We've
We
had
just
$500, $1,000, a couple tens. We had two $10,000 donations, and we are coming in for the home stretch right now. And I'm asking asking
the
you
religion
folks, please,
they
if
believe in.
you are
I mean,
so
those
inclined
are
to make a
crazy
donation
ideas,
of $10,000,
and Ben is actually,
and who wouldn't be for our troops for these
right.
care
I mean,
packages
what this
that are
decision
all
does
tax
is it
deductible?
helps
We are a
keep
legitimate
front and center of the
501c3
campaign the immigration
organization,
issue.
so you can get a
And the
tax.
interesting thing about this is a policy issue on which the Democrats and the Republicans are at completely different extremes. I mean, the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, believe that people who are here need to have a path to citizenship, and that Congress, yes, we would like Congress to act, but I think the president only acted in this limited way, which the court did not overrule, but which just decided on a procedural issue today. That Obama acted only in this limited way because Congress had not acted. But clearly, the Democrats and the Republicans could not be further on opposite.
No excuse. Congressional inaction is no excuse for flagrantly violating the Constitution.
Well, congressional action.
As President of the United States, you have to derive your power from one of two sources. Article 2 in the Constitution, naturalization is not there. That's Article 1 of congressional power, or a statute. And the Fifth Circuit ruled and showed painstakingly this is directly contrary to the
Supreme Court did not say that the president flagrantly violated the Constitution, as you say. What the Supreme Court did was nothing.
But the
Fifth
Circuit Court
in
there,
they would have said right, but he's not there.
I would add to that that
small issue, though. What the president did wasn't small. What the president tried to do was circumvent Congress and give basically legal status to 5 million people. That means Social Security numbers, being able to work, eligible for welfare benefits, the earned income tax credit. He can't do that. Congress can do that.
All I would say is that when Congress fails to act repeatedly on such an important issue,
we should sit on the floor and do nothing.
The president must act, and I think that's
not
what
create laws. That is not American politics.
Yeah. Well, listen, first of all, I think it's very important that we recognize exactly what Gloria said. The Supreme Court basically did nothing, and it let stand the most conservative court's opinion about this. We now still have to wait to hear what the full court would say.
All right, we got to leave it there. I want to thank all our panelists. Just ahead, we're going to have the latest on the UK vote on staying in the European Union or leaving. Already, financial markets around the world are getting nervous. We'll have the latest on the counting. Also, the sit-in staged by House Democrats stalls after 25 hours. They are vowing to renew their efforts after the 4th of July recess. How the final hours of the protest played out.
To showcase the impressive Infiniti QX50, we could have imagined it on a winding mountain pass, or somewhere even more cliche, like a downtown street. But what distinguishes the Infiniti QX50 isn't where you can take it, it's how you feel taking it there. With generous cargo space, extended second-row legroom, and coupe-like handling, the QX50 from Infiniti. Lease the Infiniti QX50 for $319 a month. Visit your local Infiniti retailer.
At Burger King, get 10 chicken nuggets for just $1.49. Wait, the 10 nuggets deal is back again?
$1.49 for 10 nuggets.
Sweet! They're crispy and golden on the outside, made with white meat on the inside. Enjoy 10 chicken nuggets for just $1.49 today, only at Burger King.
Hat maker Vincent Brimble prospered in the town of Hattington. Never flashy, he only made the classic bowler. Then suddenly the day's trend became preposterously tall. His Raymond James financial advisor reminded him that focusing on the long term is always fashionable. The fad was indeed a passing one. His patience paid off, allowing him to one day hang up his hat with confidence. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
Congrats on the new car.
Thanks. The dealership reviews on Cars.com made it easy, but...
We thought it might be a little more tense. You missed the drama. Yeah. Ask him whatever you want.
Okay. I think my sister's prettier than me.
Research, price, find. Only Cars.com helps you get the right car without all the drama.
Want to drink more water? With SodaStream, you turn plain water into sparkling water in seconds. And because it's so delicious, you'll drink 43% more water every day. SodaStream. Love your water.
Welcome. Kick back. Indulge. Connect. Stroll. Shop. Smile. Rock. Cheer. Celebrate. Have a breathe easy weekend at Hilton Garden Inn. We guarantee a great stay or you don't pay. Book at HDI.com to get a guaranteed discount. I'm Michaela Pereira. Join me for morning news with West Coast Style.
Michaela, weekday mornings starting Monday, July 11th on HLN.
At Southern New Hampshire University, a degree is more than a piece of paper, and it's more than a graduation ceremony. It's lifelong dreams fulfilled, opportunities seized, and it's finally having access to the things you always wanted. The perfect job, the ability to make a difference, a better life for your family, and a better life for you. Because a degree is the proof that when you put your mind to it, the incredible happens. Find out where a degree will take you at snhu.edu.
If you're a small business owner, paying people has never been easier than with easy, online, Sure Payroll. Sure Payroll can be used on any device to process payroll and pay employees. Sure Payroll will automatically pay and file your federal, state, and local taxes. Go to surepayroll.com and get a free quote for your household, small business, or nanny payroll. Plus, sign up free and get 2 months free payroll. Call 1-844-SURE-PAYROLL and mention 2 free.
Declassified. Sundays at 10 on CNN. An unprecedented sit-in by House Democrats ended today after 25 hours. They'd vowed to stay until a gun control bill was put to a vote. The protest sparked by the mass shooting in Orlando 12 days ago. Now, earlier this week, of course, the Senate rejected 4 gun control measures. House Democrats say they aren't giving up, while critics say their tactics are hurting bipartisan efforts on gun control. Here's Senile Fart.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Rogers, seek recognition?
25 hours after seizing control of the House floor, the No Bill, No Break protest is taking a break.
We must never, ever give up or give in. We must keep the faith, and we must come back here on July the 5th, more determined than ever before.
Democrats who vowed not to take a break are doing just that, but promising to restart the push for new gun control measures in the wake of the Orlando terror attack. Thank you. And threatening to restart the sit-in on the floor after a 2-week recess.
We cannot stop until we get a bill, until law is passed. This isn't about politics. It's not about elections. It's not about campaigns. It's about the safety of the American people.
And in the Senate, another fight. Republican Senator Susan Collins failing to move forward her bill, seen as a bipartisan compromise to prevent those on the no-fly list from buying guns.
And the House stands adjourned.
Early this morning, the Republican leadership in the House adjourned for recess, looking to draw to a close the act of defiance from Democrats in the House. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan clearly enraged.
This is the people's house. This is Congress, the House of Representatives, oldest democracy in the world, and they're just sending it into chaos.
Blasting the Democrats' tactics and questioning their intentions.
We watched a publicity stunt, a fundraising stunt, descend an institution that many of us care a great deal about. So yeah, I think it sets a very dangerous precedent.
The sit-in on the floor, live streaming on the social media accounts of members, leading to dramatic and at times contentious moments.
Suspected and known to be a terrorist, why can you get a gun, a machine gun?
Going throughout the night.
I'm cold and I'm tired and I'm hungry. But these are feelings that I'm so privileged to have because so many will never feel that again.
With protests outside and inside, lasting into the late morning.
Then we shall overcome someday.
And today, Senator Susan Collins had some pretty pointed criticism for House Democrats and their sit-in protest. She says that she believes this served as a setback to her own efforts to garner bipartisan support for her own bill. All of this just really underscoring how heated and how divisive this issue really is right now on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Anderson?
Selman, thanks very much. Selman Fart. The day before Democrats staged their sit-in, House Republican David Jolly introduced a gun control measure to prevent people on a terror watch list from buying guns. He says his bill addresses a fatal flaw of previous proposals,
The congressman joins me tonight. Congressman Jolly, thanks very much for joining us. Now that the sit-in is over, I wonder what, if anything, do you think it accomplished? Speaker Ryan today said it was basically a publicity stunt, a fundraising scheme.
So, listen, I'm not sure it was the greatest of tactics to actually accomplish real change this week, but I understand the convictions of my friends on the Democratic side. Look, I have questions with the policies they have offered, but I also have reservations about the inaction on our side. I'm somebody that thinks the House floor should be open. The members of Congress should have the opportunity to work the will of the American people, and that includes on issues of national security and, yes, on the Second Amendment and guns. So, you know, I spent a lot of time down on the House floor yesterday looking for opportunities, windows of opportunity with my Democratic colleagues to say, how do we forge a consensus? Let's accomplish no fly, no buy, but also protect the Second Amendment and due process, because I think we can do both.
Well, let's talk about how you wanted to do that, because the bill the Democrats wanted to vote on, which would have prevented suspected terrorists from buying guns, a lot of Republicans and you know, libertarians and others took, you know, civil libertarians took issue with it because they thought it infringed on a person's due process rights. You had a compromise that seemed to address that. Can you explain it?
So my legislation says no fly, no buy. But if you are turned down for the purchase of a firearm based on being on a watch list, the government has to notify you of that, and you have 30 days for a due process hearing where the burden of proof is on the government by a preponderance of the evidence, 51-49. The hearing is secret, and all evidence has to be presented against the petitioner.
And 30 days seems like a reasonable length of time for a hearing to take place. There had been another proposal earlier, I know, of I think 72 hours. 30 days seems to be a compromise.
It is, and understand this protects the law enforcement interest as well. If you're on a watch list, it does not notify you you're on the watch list. But if you go to purchase a firearm, which is a Second Amendment protected privilege for an American citizen, then I do believe the government owes you a due process hearing if they deny that privilege. Importantly, you know, when I first drafted this bill, it was about a week ago, I circulated it among my colleagues before I introduced it. I said, help me make it better. You know, we can accomplish no fly, no buy and due process. Help me make it better. So I've also added a look-back provision offered by a Democrat in the Senate that says if the FBI was investigating somebody like Omar Mateen and closed the investigation, but they later go out to purchase a firearm, let's notify the FBI so that they're made aware that perhaps this individual should be looked at again. That's now in my legislation as well.
So the House expected to reconvene July 5th. What needs to happen to actually get a vote on your bill?
You know, I'm from Florida. We left the Orlando area shortly after the attack. We left a state that was unified in mourning, a nation resolved to confront this evil we face and the insecurity we face. And I arrived in a Congress bitterly divided. It's wrong. Let's reflect the unity of the American people. Let's bring up several votes. If it's not my bill, that's fine. Let's bring up other options. Let the Congress work its will on behalf of the American people.
Well, Congressman Jolly will continue to follow it. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Anderson. Good to be with you.
Well, just ahead tonight, there's breaking news. Polls closed and early results on the historic BRExit referendum are starting to come in across the UK. We'll get an early read from CNN Chief International Correspondent Christiane Amanpour.
I've been trying to prepare for this day, and I'm still not ready. The reason I'm telling you this is that there will be moments in your life that you'll never be ready for. Your little girl getting married being one of them.
Which you are you? Be the you who doesn't cover your moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Be the you who shows up in that dress, who hugs a friend, who is done with treatments that don't give you clearer skin. Be the you who controls your psoriasis with Stelara. Just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Stelara may lower your ability to fight infections and may increase your risk of infections and cancer. Some serious infections require hospitalization. Before treatment, get tested for tuberculosis. Before starting Stelara, tell your doctor if you think you have an infection or have symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough. Always tell your doctor if you have any signs of infection, have had cancer, if you develop any new skin growths, or if anyone in your house needs or has recently received a vaccine. Alert your doctor of new or worsening problems, including headaches, seizures, confusion, and vision problems. These may be signs of a rare, potentially fatal brain condition. Some serious allergic reactions can occur. Do not take Stelara if you are allergic to Stelara or any of its ingredients.
Most people using Stelara saw 75% clearer skin, and the majority were rated as cleared or minimal at 12 weeks. Be the you who talks to your dermatologist about Stelara.
Think you're taking what's best for your heartburn? Try Nexium 24 Hour. Now, the #1 choice of doctors and pharmacists for their own frequent heartburn. Get complete protection with Nexium 24-Hour.
The Name Your Price tool can show you coverage options to fit your budget.
Tell me something I don't know. This is probably more of a break room activity.
You think?
Defiance is in our bones. Our citrical bones easily absorb calcium plus vitamin D. Defy bone aging with Citrical Maximum, our highest level of calcium plus D.
Every tip you provide helps us take fugitives off the streets. Let's do it again.
The Hunt with John Walsh. New episodes Sundays at 9 on CNN.
They want you to think this is what a home burglary looks like. But over 95% of break-ins actually occur in broad daylight, which is why I invented the Ring video doorbell.
Hello?
I'm doing free tree trimming estimates.
I'm bathing the children right now.
Ring lets you see and speak with whoever's at your home from anywhere. And with dual power options, you can install Ring in just minutes. Available at ring.com and these fine retailers.
Here's critically important news for small business owners. Financing is now available in as little as 3 days. Trusted national lender Rapid Advance understands that small businesses need working capital to seize opportunities. That's why tens of thousands of small businesses have found the funding they need to grow with Rapid Advance. Rapid Advance provides financing up to $500,000. Approvals take as little as 1 day, and funds are available in as little as 3 days. If you've been in business for at least 1 year, call 877-GO-RAPID or visit rapidadvance.com.
New day, the most news in the morning. Tomorrow starting at 6 Eastern on CNN.
Pivotal day across the pond. Voters deciding whether the United Kingdom should leave the European Union, a referendum with enormous implications, and not just for the UK. The vote counting has started. The final result not expected to be announced until Friday morning. Our chief international correspondent, Christiane Amanpour, joins me now with the latest. Christiane, you've been following this closely now for a long time. The polls closed nearly 5 hours ago. Any sense at which way the vote is leaning?
Oh, it has been a really, really knife-edge seesaw for the last several hours. You know, before results formally started coming in, there was expectations that Remain would win in a close vote. The pound surged. Well, in the intervening several hours, we've had a lot of leave the EU votes being counted from the north of England, some from the southeast, and going heavily towards leave. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, Remain is minusculely, microscopically ahead, and we simply don't know where this is all going to end. The big question is the turnout and how London will do, and whether the margins in London are enough to offset those in the north which have gone for leave. But of course, this is every vote counts, Anderson. It's a referendum. It's not a general election. It's literally every vote counts.
Yeah, I was just working in France yesterday, and there were a bunch of British citizens around me who had made sure to vote before they left in order to get their vote, because it really is that close. Christian, the Obama administration clearly wants the UK to stay in the EU. Can you just talk a little bit about why this vote matters for the United States? I mean, is it simply economic, security related? Is it all of the above?
I think it's all of the above. It's economics, it's security, it's political, it's cultural. I mean, the basic bottom line is the United States and Britain have stood shoulder to shoulder, special relationship as the cliche goes, but it's true. And they've worked together for you know, most of the last century, decades and decades and decades, particularly to keep the peace in Europe and to join in their liberal, economic and cultural and political project for the world. And Britain obviously stands as America's bridge to the rest of Europe, which is the US biggest trading partner. So in that regard, very important. But Britain is, you know, along with the US, a member of the Security Council, NATO, all the big, you know, international groupings, Britain is front and center, and really, you know, one of the leaders of Europe and such a close friend of the United States. So whether it's imposing sanctions on Russia or on Iran, whatever it is, Britain can be depended on to help the US. But of course, Britain's weight is much magnified, its throw weight is much magnified by being part of this big union. On its own, it's a little less obvious how much of a benefit it is for the U.S. and how much Britain's voice will get heard beyond the United States. So it's a very, very delicate situation right now, Anderson.
And I guess the question is, if Britain leaves, do other countries now in the European Union start to leave? I mean, do the Danes, Norwegians, I mean, do others start to get shaky?
Well, that is the big fear across Europe. Many of the European leaders, whether it's Germany, whether it's the Netherlands, France, are very worried, in their words, that this could be like a psychological run on the bank. If Britain leaves, then all these other restive nations might, because there are significant minorities in a lot of these countries that want to leave, in terms of numbers, I mean, minority of numbers, which want to leave. And the unfortunate thing, Anderson, and this is where it gets really tricky and really ugly, a lot of these leave movements are led by the hard right, very, very xenophobic, anti-immigrant, very populist, nationalist, white identity politics. They are the leaders who are pushing this this momentum, including here in Britain. It's Nigel Farage, the anti-immigrant leader of the UKIP party, who forced Prime Minister Cameron to hold this referendum. Many people say Cameron has inflicted a self-inflicted wound on himself if there's a Brexit, and on Britain and on Europe. So it's a very, very bitter, very close race.
We'll continue to watch. Christian Almavar, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Up next, the Baltimore police officer who faced the most serious charge in the death of Freddie Gray is acquitted. He was the driver of the van who was accused of giving Gray a rough ride. What does the Gray family have to say about the latest acquittal? I'll talk to their attorney in a moment.
Whopper.
Whopper.
Fries.
Fries.
Soda.
Soda.
$10. Someone's gonna get fired.
Fired and Flame Grilled. Get 2 100% beef Whopper sandwiches.